Hello everyone, Spider Fanboy here to bring you the second part to What If Hinata was a part of Team 7. So, yeah, we're going to continue on to their training before the tuning exams and tackling the tuning exams as a whole. So, yeah, okay, let's go on ahead and just get started. So, last we left off, we just finished up with the whole events with the bridge, the whole wave arc. Um, Instead of it being named the Great Naruto Bridge, it was initially considered to be called the Honorable Twin Demon Bridge or something along those lines. Before Naruto and Sasuke requested that it be changed to honor Haku and Hinata. So it was instead named the Fallen Snow Angel Bridge. But they ended up returning to Konoha, and Team 7 has bonded properly. Sasuke is opening up a little bit more in regards to um, him wanting to, you know, his issues with his brother. Hinata is thankful towards Naruto and Sasuke for just how much they cared in regards to her seeming demise. And Naruto decided he wanted to trust his team, that he wanted to show his team that he trusted them as his new little family. So he opened up to Hinata and Sasuke about his usage of the QB that is sealed within him and his status as a Jinchuriki. So, yeah, they've returned to Konoha. They're going to be returning to some level of normalcy for about a month. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be like implied about a month worth of time was between. I know it was at least a few weeks, but we're gonna go with a solid month, and we're gonna go on ahead and jump into their training um, post the Land of Waves. They're mainly gonna be going back to D rank and simple C ranks within the Land of Fire. They don't want to be crossing countries once more into enemy territory. So they're going to be mainly taking care. Any C ranks that they do, maybe they handle like one every other week or so. So they take like two new C ranks within the Land of Fire. Very simple, maybe like a bandit extermination mission to kind of help desensitize them to violence because they are shinobi, and possibly even an escort mission on top of that. But other than that, they're going to be getting into training. So, Kakashi is taking this time to assist Sasuke. Now, some of you might be wondering, since Sasuke has awakened his Mangekyo, and Kakashi's going to offer to train him in it, is it possible that he, might accidentally burn Kakashi alive? That's not a thing here because Itachi hasn't implanted that Amaterasu in his eye to trigger when he sees one of Obito's, or as he believes, Madara's Mangekyo Sharingan. So yeah, no, it's not gonna be he's not gonna be accidentally burning Kakashi alive. Um, but yeah, Sasuke did end up unlocking the Mangekyo Sharingan when he thought that Hinata had died, similarly to how Kakashi had evolved his Tutomoe Sharingan into a Mangekyo before collapsing due to the strain. Sasuke ended up evolving his recently, like literally just like a few seconds prior, fully matured Sharingan into the Mangekyo. And luckily, he was able to stay conscious enough to assist Naruto in not only taking down Haku, but in tearing apart the Gato's thugs before leaving Gato to the the citizens of Wave. But yeah, Kakashi's mainly gonna be, he's mainly gonna be warning him of the severe drawbacks of the Mangekyo Sharingan, that it can cause, blindness the more that you use it. It degrades your eyes, and while it does grant you very powerful abilities, you have to be careful with how and when you use them. So he tells him that he's gonna be diversifying his usage of lightning ninjutsu, since he got him started by giving him like two jutsu in electromagnetic murder, and basically, which is, I think it was supposed to basically be like kind of like Chidori stream. And yeah, he gave him a few basic lightning style techniques, but here he's going to be teaching him over the course of this month. He's going to be teaching him how to use the Chidori and or at the very least, maybe yeah, Sasuke's gonna be learning the Chidori over the course of the month. Since he already got a head start, has a fully mature Sharingan, um, and has a training partner who has the same affinities as him in Hinata, who has has the same has similar level, if not even greater, because of the Byakugan. Similar level, if not greater, visual prowess to help him practice, um, and greater chakra control as well. She's definitely going to be able to help him. Um, Kakashi and Hinata being here are going to be able to help him improve faster, as well as his fully mature Sharingan. So he's going to be able to get his hands on it, even if he isn't completely dedicating his training like he did before the finals in canon. Um, the greater resources that he has and his head start is definitely going to be helping. Hinata is going to be further practicing and perfecting her variants that I mentioned that she ended up developing for her 32 palms technique. She's trying to evolve them into their 64 palms variant while also trying to learn the proper 64 palms. So if you don't remember, she had the piercing 64 palms, which involved her making use of senbon or chakra to directly pierce into her opponents. She would sharpen her similarly to like a chakra scalpel, and we can easily say over this month she learns how to properly use the chakra scalpel, like what Kabuto uses, so that she can further perfect the technique. So she uses like a lightning enhanced chakra scalpel and senbon to pierce through your tenketsu and your chakra points as well as your pressure points, so that she can and she goes, this is like a more lethal fighting style which she practices on Naruto shadow clones with his permission and his encouragement. Whereas her paralyzing 8 trigram 64 palms is just her using um, basic lightning, basic lightning chakra to instead, go for more paralyzing touches, going for less lethal points. It's meant to more disable opponents than it is to kill them. And she also, if she does use Senbon with it, she'll be using poisons and paralysis concoctions that she will dip her Senbon in, so that she can properly incapacitate her opponents. And then there's the basic 64 palms that she's been learning. She's been training these techniques with her father, and she's also been developing her her protective, her protective 64 palms from that. Yeah, that was like it was supposed. I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be like in a filler, but I think it's a technique that she actually has. It was introduced in a filler, and then it became something she actually has. And she's also been trying to practice with her rotation. She learned how to pull off like a partial rotation where she briefly channels her chakra similarly to how you would do the rotation, but she only does it for a brief period of time to give her some speed to help her start, kind of like as a starting opener to her various 32 palm techniques and now her 64 palm techniques. She doesn't want to feel as helpless as she did against the battle against Haku. She wants to be able to, you know, be better support and be able to fight side by side with Sasuke and Naruto. Speaking of Naruto, Kakashi decided he'd be assisting him in learning a few more wind style techniques. Maybe he learned something to mimic what he ended up doing when he was enhanced by the Kiwi chakra. So he learns like a wind fang technique where like he like slashes out, or he can like shoot out scythes of wind, like little scythes of wind, blades of wind, either from his mouth or like from a hand motion. He learns how to do that, uh, possibly even from his kunai or a chakra blade. That was like in one of the movies. There was like these chakra blades that they had. So maybe he can get like one of those Konoha chakra blades. Um, Learns how to use it so that he can channel his wind style through it and let out like scythes and blades of wind. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna give him some chakra blades. That sounds cool. Hold on. I want to make sure that it's the one that I'm thinking about. Chakra Blades, Naruto movie. Because I know that there was a movie. Yeah, the Konoha Chakra Blade. It looks like a. It basically looks like a really large, like an oversized kunai. If you just search up Konoha Chakra Blade, you'll initially get Asuma's, but there's one that looks more like a proper sword or like a little um, two-handed dagger with a Konoha symbol in the middle. That's basically what he's gonna have. He's gonna be like dual wielding them. They'll be like little daggers for him to use. And he's gonna be learning how to use those. Maybe he does. Maybe Kakashi asks Asuma, and he helps. He gives him some tips on how to properly refine his usage of wind chakra, so that they're more deadly. He learns how to shoot out size of chakra and wind, enhanced chakra and wind chakra. Um, and beyond that, since he's not only going to be teaching Sasuke how to use the Chidori, he's going to be teaching Hinata as well. And she might be a little iffy because it's literally branded as his number one assassination technique, right below his Raikiri, which is just the improved version of it. And he even promises Sasuke if Sasuke gets down the Chidori properly, he'll teach him the Raikiri. But yeah, he teaches the Chidori to both Sasuke and Hinata is going to be taking some elements from it, but she's probably not going to be mainly using it like Sasuke does. She can get past the tunnel vision using her own Byakugan, but she has a few ideas as to how she can kind of rework it into something more her own style. As for Naruto, he's going to be teaching him a very important jutsu. He's going to be teaching him the Rasengan, and over the course of the month, he's able to get it down. He's going to be learning how to do it properly. He's not going to need shadow clones to make it. He can make it in one hand. He can make it in either one of his hands. He can make it in both hands, and he can even enlarge them. Although he does need to focus, so right now he can only use his big ball Rasengan in one hand, and he has to like focus it and like hold it so that he can like properly stabilize it, keep it stable. So right now he only has it so that he can pull off a Rasengan in either hand with like just like that basically, or he can do it in both hands. He has one in each hand. He can like swing them around at his opponents. I'm pretty sure it was called like the Rasengan Barrage in English. I know that it was like Rasen Rengan or something like that in Japanese, but I know it's called like the Rasengan Barrage, which I don't know. I don't know why, but I know that's what it was called in the Ultimate Ninja Storm games. But he learns how to do that. He learns how to do the Big Ball Rasengan, and yeah, he gets those chakra blades. He's training in those, and maybe Sasuke gets some too, because we know that he definitely has some talent for kenjutsu, for using swords. So Sasuke and Naruto are going to be practicing using their chakra blades against one another. Sasuke practices using his lightning chakra, whereas Naruto uses his wind chakra. And Naruto is at a disadvantage, but he has more chakra to supply, and he doesn't have to split his focus between two elemental masteries. And he has shadow clones to further improve his mastery much quicker. You know, he's able to get it down very easily, and he's able to evolve it much faster. So he's actually able to hold his own when Sasuke uses his or no, sorry, wind beats lightning. So yeah, Naruto definitely holds the advantage. But then Sasuke pulls something out in that he channels fire through his blade instead. Um, Definitely makes things a lot more interesting in their spars with one another. And Hinata practicing um, all of her own variations of the 64 palms. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool, especially when she decides to take some inspiration from Naruto and begins experimenting to try to learn the vacuum palm. She wants to learn like a little bit of a basically what is basic. It's kind. I always thought that was like basically just a wind style technique, but it's not listed as an elemental technique. It's just 8 trigrams vacuum palm. But yeah, it's something she wants to learn. But with her hands kind of already full with learning the rotation, um, and properly perfecting and mastering her variations of the 32 palms and evolving them into the 64 palms, and keeping up with her medical studies. Yeah, they have a month, but yeah, it's not enough time for her to get everything down. And then we get into our confrontation with Gaara. Naruto's relationship with Konohamaru, by the way, is about the same. Um, Except that maybe Konohamaru's entire team idolizes all of Team 7. So they all obviously initially look up to Naruto. But Moegi, the girl, she looks up to Hinata. She's like her kind older sister Hinata, and her kind big sister Hinata, which Hanabi is definitely a little salty about. And Hanabi and Hinata's relationship is much better. Um, I don't really know if Hanabi had like any kind of bad blood if she looked down on her sister, but combat wise, it is clear that she didn't really think the greatest about her sister's combat capabilities. But it's also clear that I'm pretty sure that it was implied, that they had a very solid relationship, unlike Hinata and her father and Hinata and Neji. And I haven't mentioned Neji, not yet. So Hinata and her father, they do have a decent relationship, although it's a little strained due to the fact that Hinata has been she's been diversifying the techniques of the Hyuga clan, and the elders probably don't like that. Hiyashi doesn't really care too much because it just proves that his daughter is, she's powerful, she has a lot of potential, she's diverse, she's kind of branching herself out, and he thinks she might be reaching a little too far with what she thinks she can accomplish right now. He probably thinks that she's pushing herself that little bit too far, but he also knows that she has plans to change the way of their clan, and he's not exactly sure how he should feel about it. On one hand, tradition, and that's kind of like what the clan head inside of him is screaming at him. On the other side, his daughter is growing very well into a very formidable warrior and a very respectable young woman, and he knows that the father in him, as well as that little bit of his late wife, that still clings to him, that still whispers in his head what he should do in regards to his daughters. Um, that little bit that's keeping his empathy and his feelings, his more lighthearted side alive, is definitely telling him that he's done good, that he should be proud of her, and that everything's gonna be okay. She's gonna be able to handle herself, and he believes it. He does believe Hinata's gonna be able to handle herself. Although, when it comes to Neji, yeah, he has not really been happy with all of the progress. His supposed faded loser cousin is supposed to be, he's still riding on that fate bull crap, and he's not really been too happy with all of the progress Hinata has been making. He thinks she should be fated to be the loser she was born as, but whatever. Tuning exams are gonna come up, and that stuff is gonna change pretty soon. But yeah, meeting with Gaara, Naruto, when he meets up with Gaara here at Team 7, all of Team 7 is going to be there. You know, they're going to be there straight from the beginning. Konohamaru isn't going to be running into Sakura and insulting her. He's going to be running into Hinata and Naruto, and possibly even Sasuke. He might just be chilling with his team since they're a lot more open with one another. They're practically family at this point, and they're chilling with one another. They're kind of just walking around the village, throwing out ideas of like what they should do for their next training session, or what they should ask Kakashi about in regards to furthering their training. They kind of feel like they're ready to begin to push it even further, despite the fact that they're all kind of juggling quite a few things at the moment. But they run into Konohamaru and his little squad. They decide to have some fun. Maybe Hanabi has been sticking around Konohamaru and them since she knows that they somehow have the attention of Hinata, of her big sister Hinata and her team. So maybe she wants to kind of get to know them. Maybe she's been following them around. And here it's Konohamaru and Hanabi, and we can easily say that Hanabi is kind of like chasing around Konohamaru. With her kind of like playful attitude that we see as an adult, I wouldn't be surprised if she was like a playful but like much more, almost not so much a mean spirited but aggressive kind of playfulness as a kid. She was a lot more rowdy. Um, Obviously outside of the Hyuga clan, like either in private or when she's away from them. And Hinata's glad to see that Hanabi's opening up, but then they bump into Kankuro, and Naruto and Hinata are quick to step in. Sasuke gathers the kids away, which kind of gets him to marvel at him. He's kind of like he doesn't really know what to think of the kids. He thinks it's weird that they follow them around, especially the fact that they follow Naruto. Not so much Hinata. He kind of gets it. She's like a gentle spirit, but the fact that they follow Naruto around is kind of he doesn't really know how to like what to think about that. Like what the hell? These kids idolize Naruto of all people. Well, whatever. I guess there are worse options out there. They could have chosen to idolize Kiba or something. But yeah. And the confrontation with when Gaara eventually shows up, like they're literally ready to scrap with Kankuro. Hinata and Naruto are not going to be taking anyone from any ninja, no matter who they are, Konoha or not, messing with like basically their little siblings. They're not going to be taking that, and that definitely, once again, that kind of rocks with Sasuke, since his own older brother murdered his entire family. So seeing proper older siblings and or older sibling figures, he's like, yeah, I'm rocking with these guys. Yeah, that's my team, all right. Yeah, he's even if he does kind of keep it to himself because of his introverted nature, he definitely likes Naruto and Sasuke, Naruto and Hinata. He thinks they're cool, and like he's definitely about to step up, but he actually activates his Sharingan, and he tells Hinata to activate her Byakugan. They not only see Kankuro's, his little chakra strings getting ready to try to latch onto them, which, causes Hinata to hold Naruto back, but Naruto himself at that exact same moment feels like an odd sense of foreboding. He doesn't really know what it is. It almost feels familiar, but not familiar to him. He looks up towards the tree, and Sasuke and Hinata had already been doing the same, and they see Gaara, in his pose, arms crossed, technically looking down on them, even though his head is technically tilted up, because he's upside down on the tree. He drops down. He makes his threat to Kankuro and Tamari, and here he doesn't completely bypass Naruto to take a look at Sasuke. He takes a solid look at all three of them. He kind of looks over Hinata. He can see that there's some steel behind her eyes, but that there's also a deep, lurking fear, a kind of trauma. That might pique his interest, but not in the traditional way like it does with, seeing the darkness in Sasuke. But looking towards Naruto and Sasuke, he can see a darkness in them. It's much more clear in Sasuke, but it's not so much. It's deeper, but not deeper. No, it is. It's deeper than Sasuke's. Not so much that it's more powerful, more personal. It's that it's like it's separated from him in a sense. It's not a complete part. It's not completely connected. It's not like he can't really tell where it ends at, like where the Naruto part starts and where this other deep darkness begins. They kind of meld into one another. It's not like with Sasuke, where it's just the darkness deep within Sasuke's soul, deep within his eyes. No, it's something different with Naruto. It's something like him, and this gets him to grin. But he quickly has to, he has to tamper down on his tendencies. He has to hold himself back. It's not quite the time, not just yet. But he tells all of Team 7 soon. He asks for their names, and he ends up introducing himself. He asks for their names, and he's like, yes, I'll see you all soon, all three of you. That much, I promise. And then he departs with his siblings, with Kankuro and Tamari, and they're all kind of shaken up. Naruto especially, he has no idea what it was about Gaara that was setting him off, but it felt very familiar, and not the good kind. He knows for a fact that there's something up with him, and Hinata and Sasuke barely even said a word other than uttering their names when Gaara asked for them. Eventually, they're able to send the kids away. They tell them that it's fine. They'll handle this. It's nothing to worry about, and they'll be asking their sensei soon enough. And Hinata especially has to comfort Hanabi, saying that it's fine. She's not in trouble. She just wants her to go back to the compound for now, to go home and be safe with father. She'll be back soon enough after she meets up with her sensei to ask about why there are foreign shinobi in Suna, and she'll clear things up with him. But for now, she needs to go home. So they meet up with Kakashi. They question him. He reveals the tuning exams, and that he was somewhat hesitant. Here he makes it clear he was somewhat hesitant in letting them participate. And maybe initially for like a brief second, they all, even Hinata, they all try to speak up against this, but he all he has to do is bring up wave, and that causes them to kind of fall short. And he tells them that he's not entirely sure if they got him past it, but at the end of the day, they're shinobi. They are human, they are people, but that does not stop them from being shinobi. Just like how being a shinobi does not stop them from being people. They need to recognize that they have a duty, and they have to choose whether or not they're going to be willing, whether or not they're going to be prioritizing that duty over their personal feelings. At least for now, in this one instance, he asks them if they're truly ready and prepared to take on the tuning exams. He tells them to take some time to think about it. Go home. He'll meet up with them tomorrow to discuss things further. But for now, try not to worry themselves too much and just take the time to think. They all agree. They part ways. Maybe they go to Ichiraku for a bit, but it's clear that they're all in a mood. Ayami definitely tries to cheer them up, tries to kickstart their usual banter, but it doesn't work as well as she'd like. They end up going their separate ways, but just before they properly part, um, Naruto asked them what was it that they saw, if they saw anything off about Gara. They briefly pause before moving into an alleyway, signaling Naruto to follow along, and they clarify. They saw a deep red chakra hidden within him. They couldn't see it at first, but it spiked when Naruto and Gaara had their little stare off, had their their brief standoff. They had a brief little staring contest when Gaara shifted his gaze towards him, and they said that it spiked when they saw it briefly flare up, similarly to what Naruto would do. And they think that he might be Sunagakure's, the Hidden Sand's own Jinchuriki. This definitely puts Naruto in a bit of a mood, and is going to be throwing a little bit more on his plate in regards to what he's going to be thinking about. Uh, but yeah, they end up going home. They all think about it, and eventually they all come to the same decision. They each have they each have their own inner monologues. They reflect on um, the same events, but for different reasons, or at least more personal reasons. Not too different, not too dissimilar, but just different enough that they're a little more personalized for each one. But eventually, they all come to the same decision. They don't want to hold their other two teammates back. More importantly, they don't want to hold themselves back due to their own fears, due to their own doubts. So they meet up at the bridge just a few minutes before Kakashi gets there. He's actually on time for once, and they end up agreeing that they're going to be taking part in the tuning exams. Kakashi stares them down for a minute before eye smiling, that iconic eye smile of his, and he tells them that's good because he already has the papers for them. All they have to do is sign, and they'll be put in. They do, but they're a little bewildered. They thought that he was hesitant, and he's like, yes, he was, for a bit, but it didn't last long. He had faith in them. He has faith in them. He knows that they'll pass, and he knows that they'll stick by each other's side. He knows that they've taken his words to heart, and that they won't allow anything to happen to each other. He's proud of them. He couldn't be any prouder. They all smile at this, although, Sasuke tries to keep it a little more subdued, only for Naruto to, kind of sort of ruin the moment, being his loud usual self. But if anything, it just makes it all the more heartwarming between them. As Sasuke and Naruto fall into their bickering with Hinata laughing off to the side before trying to intervene, Kakashi once again eye smiles to himself. He sees his own teammates in them, his own self even. But yeah, this is definitely better. He really thinks he might be able to properly atone if it continues like this. All he has to do is make sure that it doesn't fall apart. Easier said than done, but he's going to be doing everything he can. Now we're going to get into the proper tuning exam. So we have, the brief confrontation at the building where they hold the first part. When it comes to Sasuke is going to be himself when he when he ends up revealing the illusion on the classroom door. Uh, Give me one sec. Sorry about that. I had to move something to the dryer. Ooh. Yeah, I hope that's not too loud. But yeah. So Sasuke's not gonna be doing that whole thing where like he reveals in front of everyone that it's just a genjutsu. Um, that was clearly meant to kind of weed out those who weren't gonna be making a difference. Basically, all of the fodder. And yeah, Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata. Even if Naruto's briefly confused, Sasuke kind of explains it to him. He tells him that yeah, it's just a way to weed out those who can't see past an obvious genjutsu. And Naruto himself is a little slumped by this. He couldn't see past it, but Hinata comforts him, tells him not to worry. That's why they're here. They're teammates. They got each other's backs. And Sasuke himself he just kind of nods at this, gives his little that little grunt of acknowledgement. And this definitely lightens up Naruto. And then Rock Lee makes his appearance. Um, the battle against Rock Lee is going to be going much different. He does still challenge Sasuke. He wants to see what Sasuke has in him. Although he also acknowledges both Hinata and Naruto. But he says that he's not going to have the time to take all three of them on at once. He's confident in himself, but not that confident. But he's confident in himself, but he's not arrogant, or at least not too arrogant. He tries not to be. Um, but he does challenge Sasuke, and Sasuke is actually able to decently keep up with him with his weights on. Him sparring against Hinata and Naruto with exploiting his more speedy hit and run tactics, making use of all of his clones and his shuriken jutsu, um, and his recently developed wind style, facing off against Hinata and her literally lightning quick attacks. Maybe not so literally, but you know what I mean. Her lightning quick attacks in her um, evolving 32 palm techniques. Yeah. He's able, and his own 3 Tomoe Sharingan, which he has had a month to cultivate and work with. Yeah, he's able to keep up with Lee, um, with his weights on. That's the thing. He's able to keep up with him with his weights on. He's not gonna get utterly devastated and embarrassed. Um, Lee does attempt to. He's able to hold off Lee long enough that when he tries to attempt to use what is it the I don't even remember the full lotus. I don't think was it hidden lotus or what was it? What was it that he tried to use against? I don't know. When he tries to use one of his lotus techniques, Guy shows up. That whole introduction of Guy is still as weird as it is in canon, and we get to the written exam. Now the written exam is where things are going to get a little interesting. Since Naruto and Hinata are on the same team, they're not going to be placed next to each other. Maybe he actually gets placed next to Sakura, who herself has definitely developed. She's probably in that outfit. It was in one of the movies. Hold on. Sakura, Part 1, movie, outfit. It was like this. I don't remember. Okay, where she had like. It says it's her summer wear? What? From like part 1 in that movie? You know what I'm talking about, right? Where she had like her top and her skirt split apart from one another. It was from the summer movie of Naruto Shippuden, or from Naruto Part 1. It was from the summer movie. I don't know. That's all I'm getting. I'm getting like summer outfit, summer movie. Yeah, and like Naruto himself had like this weird sleeveless orange jacket that went over like a blue shirt. So like his blue sleeves popped out. And Lee was in it. It was like Lee, Kakashi, Naruto, and Sakura that were in the movie. Lee looked super weird with shorts and a short sleeve shirt. What the hell is that outfit? And Kakashi himself had a short sleeve shirt instead of his normal long sleeve. Like nothing else was different except for the fact that he had short sleeves. Oh, it's super weird. But yeah, that outfit where she had like the kind of crop top look, kind of like and she had like a white circle in her shirt. She's cut her hair down. Um, yeah, Kurenai couldn't get, she couldn't get Hinata on her team like how she wanted, but so she definitely put all of her training and all of her effort into training up Sakura to kind of be like her protege and like the next Genjutsu mistress. So here she's definitely more Genjutsu oriented. Maybe she's learned some level of healing since she knows that that's what Hinata was maybe she's heard some word of Hinata. It's clear that the Rookie Nine were somewhat keeping up with each other, so she probably heard a little bit of what Hinata was capable of and her healing jutsu. So she's definitely been practicing, to act as the support member for her team of Shino and Kiba. So yeah, she has a bit of a different outfit, bit of a different attitude. She still doesn't think too much of Naruto, but a lot of her, mean-spirited animosity for him has kind of dissipated. She's kind of more a little indifferent towards him. She doesn't feel too strongly one way or the other. Just slightly leaning towards. He's a little weird, but he's whatever. Um, oh right, hold on. The scene where they all meet up with one another, um, where like all the teams meet up in the room before the proper written exam. Um, Shut! Come here! Come here! No! Come here, Logan. Come here. No. Sorry. It's where they meet up with all the other teams, like the sound teams, and they meet up with the rest of the rookie 12 now, since we have team, what are they? Team 11? Team 9? Team Guy. We have Team Guy now. Um, so they all properly meet up with one another. Neji definitely has like a bit of a stare down with Hinata, who's standing her ground, but there's some obvious level of sadness in her eyes that she can't connect with her big brother Neji. I know that's what she calls him. Um, Even though he's her cousin, she kind of like views him as an older brother. But yeah, there's like some level of tension between them, animosity on Neji's side and like a sadness on Hinata's. But like she's still standing her ground. She's not gonna allow herself to be bullied. And Kabuto shows up. He does his reading out of everyone. He reads out everyone's capabilities. That Naruto is capable of wind style. He has mastered the forbidden technique of the shadow clone and the majority, if not the majority, of its mainline variants, as well as the fact that he has apparently mastered and learned the Rasengan, one of the signature techniques of the fourth Hokage, which definitely gets everyone's attention. They're like, "What the hell? This blonde kid? He's able to use one of the techniques of the fourth Hokage, the Rasengan itself, the legendary technique." Or obviously not a lot of people knew about it, but now that they do, it's going to be getting some heads turning, especially his former classmates. They try to call him out, maybe like Kiba, being his loudmouth self, tries to call this out as bullcrap, but then Kabuto lists out what Kiba's capable of and all of the missions that they've done. Oh, right, and he brings up the Wave mission, where he credits them as the Two Honorable Demons. Apparently that was going to be its name before it was changed. Uh, this gets more attention on both Sasuke and Naruto, and even Hinata as a byproduct. Apparently, she was one of the reasons it was renamed to the Fallen Snow Angel Bridge. Beyond that, he even lists out her evolution of her clan's techniques, and her ability to use hers and Sasuke's ability to use the A rank assassination technique, or the S rank, I believe, assassination technique known as the Chidori, taught to them by Kakashi of the Sharingan, their Jonin master. And this definitely raises some suspicions. Everyone else is kind of, in awe, but all of Team 7, they're like, how the hell does he know that? Yeah, there's no way he's some normal Konoha ninja who hasn't passed tuning level. What the hell is he doing here? Who is he? And they're all suspicious of him. Naruto is almost the loudest. He's like about to call him out for being a weird suspect. But Sasuke, Hinata is able to get him to calm down, where Sasuke decides he may as well use this suspicious guy's knowledge to their advantage. And he asks what knowledge he has on Subaku no Gara, Gara of the Sand. And he clarifies, he ends up giving the same spiel about Gara's capabilities as in canon, that he's never been hurt on any of his missions. He's never so much as suffered a scratch or a bruise. And that's definitely going to be like, they're like, oh crap, what is this guy capable of? How is he so strong? especially for Team 7. They think it might have something to do with the Stale Beast. But either way, written exam. Um, Sasuke and Hinata make use of their visual prowess. And we can even say that Hinata has picked up a small genjutsu from Sasuke that Kakashi taught him, and possibly even to Hinata, so that they can cast it over themselves so that no one can notice. Unless they're proper sensors, they won't be able to notice their usage of their dojutsu. It'll allow them to use it more subtly so that people won't be able to notice that, they have their dojutsu active. For Hinata, it'll obviously hide the veins that form around her face, and for Sasuke, it'll obviously hide the activation of his Sharingan, and it'll make their appearances look normal. As for Naruto, he actually he creates he manages to discreetly create a single shadow clone that makes virtually no smoke whatsoever. It appears below his table, and Sakura is briefly like, "What the hell are you doing?" But then it seemingly disappears. Unknowns to anyone else, it actually transformed into like a small insect. This might actually throw off Shino, since he can tell that it's definitely not a proper insect. Otherwise, his insects would be able to interact with it. He wouldn't be able to control it, but he'd be able to interact with it or get some kind of read on it. But he can't. So he knows it's some kind of jutsu done by someone else, but he doesn't know by who. Sakura herself can't really piece together what the hell just happened. Another version of another Naruto popped out of nowhere before disappearing. She wonders if he tried to use the clone jutsu from the academy again, or that shadow clone jutsu, apparently, that was mentioned earlier. She doesn't know how a clone jutsu could be a forbidden technique, but she's curious, but she keeps it to herself. She uses her big brain knowledge to pass the test without needing to cheat. And Anko ends up appearing. And here, there's not going to be as many teams, because as I mentioned before, Sasuke didn't openly dispel that genjutsu on the fake classroom door. So, but we'll probably end up with like the same, mainstay members that we have, and a few fodder teams that managed to pass. Naruto doesn't need to do his big old speech. Maybe he does. Maybe he does, since Hinata and Sasuke aren't around him. Hell, it could even be Hinata, since she might have the most doubts on her team due to her near-death experience. She might have the most doubts about continuing onwards. But she could steel herself and actually pull a Naruto, give some Takano Jutsu. And Naruto's about to jump in and add in some words of his own before Ibiki, he ends up claiming that they pass. He reveals, all of his scars, and he gives his speech. And Anko makes her grand and magnificent appearance. The magnificent and sexy Anko, Mitarashi Anko. I'm pretty sure that's what her banner said. That's like what her that's what her weird ass introduction said. But not gonna be changing too much initially when it comes to they're waiting outside of the Forest of Death. They go to meet up over there. There's less teams, so Anko isn't going to be she might not even make that comment towards Ibiki. Maybe she instead says, "Huh, I would have thought you'd been losing your touch, old man, but it seems you're just as effective as ever." Before she has all of the teams follow her out to the Forest of Death, and they all meet there. Naruto still has that kind of confrontation with Anko. She throws the kunai at him, and yeah, Hinata definitely feels a little upset when she sees Anko getting up all close, but she knows that she's dangerous, so she tries to keep her comments and her feelings to herself. Although apparently it's written all over her face, as Anko ends up kind of getting in her personal space and taunts her a little bit. But Orochimaru in disguise ends up coming up and hands Anko her kunai, which definitely sets her off. But getting into the Forest of Death, Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata are very easily able to get their hands on another scroll. They're very powerful, very competent. They have much greater teamwork, and they're able to take out one of the more fodder teams to gather another scroll. It's not going to be too hard for them, with Hinata making use of her Byakugan to scout out, and them deciding to send out Naruto's shadow clones to scout out she'll be scouting them from afar, making use of her Byakugan. She probably has I don't even remember what her range was in part one. Hold on. Hinata Byaku. I think it was like 500 meters. Range part one. Originally, she had a range of 50 meters, and then she did some training to increase. Okay, it was said that all Hyugas used to have a range of 50 meters. During the time skip, Neji was able to push that to 800 meters, and Hinata, probably by the time she was an adult, like around the time of the last, was able to push it up to 10 kilometers. That's insane. But with all of her visual prowess training with her father and against Kakashi and Sasuke, we can probably say she's more around 100 meters, maybe 75 or 80, if you want to lower that a bit. Or no, she was able to see 10 kilometers in Shippuden. What? What? Oh my god. Okay. 100 meters wouldn't be too crazy then, I suppose. We can just double what normal Hyuga are capable of. She is the princess of the Hyuga clan, so we'll just put her at 100 meters. And if she ever sees a team within her range, Naruto, they'll briefly pause and move into position, whereas Naruto will create 3 shadow clones, have 2 of them disguise themselves as Hinata and Sasuke with their dojutsu active, and we'll even make another explosive shadow clone disguised as the scroll, and they'll put it like in a very obvious place to try to lure out whatever team Hinata spotted, and they'll make the clones will make it seem as if they're incompetent. When they get ambushed, they end up exploding, disorienting whatever team tried to attack them, and they get lucky on their 3rd try against one of the fodder teams. They're able to get the scroll that they need. Um, but it isn't going to be long before, they're split up. Um, Naruto ends up, they just had to split the scrolls up between Hinata and Sasuke. Whereas Naruto will make it seem like he's carrying 2 obvious scrolls, which are, once again, explosive shadow clones, just disguised as the scrolls. And he ends up saying, he does have to go pee. He's like, here, watch the scrolls. And he puts them down, and Hinata and Sasuke position themselves. And Naruto does, he does actually have to use the restroom, but he does make it obvious. He's like, watch the scrolls. He puts them down, and, that fake Naruto tries to come up, and he is taken care of with ease. He's like, a spare scroll. We might actually need this. You never know if something will happen. And Hinata's like, are we sure? Shouldn't we just leave it with them? We have what we need. He's like, I'm pretty sure. Besides, this guy tried to trick us by pretending he was Naruto. I doubt he had the best of intentions. Come on, Hinata. We're in an exam against other shinobi. We can't exactly we can't afford to always sympathize with them. And they end up hearing a very sinister voice chuckle, saying that they actually agree with the sentiment. They shouldn't try to hold back. They should be as ruthless as possible. The Kusagenin, which is obviously just Orochimaru in disguise, makes his appearance. Or there, whatever. Let me just say his, because, we obviously know it's Orochimaru. Naruto himself was briefly captured by that snake, but that didn't last long. He was able to quickly make use of his shadow clones, and they all launched, the ones that were closest to, the actual, the ones that were like pushed up against the sides and like the insides of the snake would launch Rasengans directly into it. Causes it to dispel a lot earlier, and Naruto ends up arriving before the Kusagenin as soon as Naruto basically arrives near the beginning of the battle against Orochimaru. Hinata and Sasuke have just barely managed to shake off the brief showing of killing intent, and they're going to be getting ready to face off against Orochimaru with Naruto by their side. It's not going to be an easy battle, but it's going to be going much better than in canon. So facing off against this obviously not trying very hard Orochimaru, It's going to be a very dangerous endeavor. They face off against him, and he quickly realizes he needs to put a lot of effort. Naruto and Sasuke and Hinata are able to work together in absolute fluidity with their taijutsu. They've all learned a lot about each other's styles, and they've learned how to work around each other in the battlefield. Naruto is constantly making use of his shadow clones, tossing them towards Orochimaru, launching barrages of taijutsu attacks in combination with them, occasionally tossing an exploding shadow clone or shadow clone shuriken, exploding shadow clone shuriken. The whole works, all of the works. Sasuke himself is making use of his chakra blades. He's dual wielding, much like how Naruto is, who, when he sees Sasuke do it, he decides to break them out himself. And he begins to make use of fire and lightning, constantly alternating which is using lightning, which is using fire, sometimes using um, fire on both or lightning on both. Um, Naruto himself is backing Sasuke up. The two of them will combine strikes of fire and wind to create flaming blades that launch towards Orochimaru with frightening speed, or um, or maybe Naruto will keep Orochimaru pinned down with some blades of wind as Sasuke tries to launch some paralyzing strikes of lightning against him. And Hinata herself is definitely throwing herself into the mix, making use of her lightning chakra, her lightning enhanced chakra scalpels, to work in tandem with Sasuke and those and his electric blades. Whereas with Naruto, she's using perhaps she makes use of the vacuum palm, who with Naruto who uses some wind bullet technique or a gale palm technique to amplify their strikes against him. The two of them actually kind of pull what Boruto does. They get Sasuke to charge his Chidori around the blades, and the two of them use the vacuum palm and the gale palm to launch him forward as he blitzes towards Orochimaru to cleave him in half. And they actually think they win before he ends up reforming, and they can quickly tell, oh, this is not going to be an easy battle. It's very clear that this is no Genin. This is not even a Chunin. This is possibly even above a Jonin. They don't know who this is. They don't quite know why they're here. And all they know is that they need to get past them as quickly as possible. Naruto himself is getting pissed. He's worried that Gaara may follow through on his promise at any moment of time and may pop up into this battle to make it that much more difficult. So he begins to call upon some of the chakra of the Nine Tails. Uh, Orochimaru, who's just been that little bit too excited, some Hisoka vibes, at seeing Sasuke with a fully matured Sharingan and this Hyuga prodigy heiress making use of some variations of the gentle fist technique he's never seen before, making use of the chakra scalpel, poisons, senbon, and lightning style. It really is all too interesting, and he wonders if he should add her onto the list. He was initially only here for the Sharingan, but obtaining both the Sharingan and the Byakugan? Oh, yes, it's just enough to get him to go. Gone, some Hisoka type stuff. It's very dangerous. And when he sees that the Naruto brat, this Uzumaki brat, this Jinchuriki apparently, beginning to make a fuss, he actually attempts to move forward to hit him with the 5-pronged element seal. Sasuke and Hinata both see that he's charging up some odd type of chakra and that he's aiming towards Naruto. And they actually fear that he's trying to set the Nine Tails loose. Naruto himself isn't paying too much attention to this. He's actually beginning to let loose more and more of the Kyuubi's chakra. He worries it may cause Gaara to go after them, but he thinks if he uses enough, he might not only be able to scare this guy off, but he might be able to keep Gaara away. Oh, sorry if that sounded weird. Oh, I have like a hiccup stuck in there for a second. But he might be able to intimidate Gaara from approaching the battle. Unbeknownst to him, this would only achieve the opposite. But Hinata and Sasuke don't want to allow anything to happen to Naruto. So she charges in to actually make use of her paralyzing protective 64 palms. It's an incomplete technique, as she not only hadn't properly mastered her protective 64 palms, She hadn't mastered any of her 64 palm techniques. She knows how to use them, but they're not properly mastered, not to the level that she's comfortable with. And trying to merge the lightning style of her paralyzing 64 palms and her protective 64 palms, it's no easy task. But she does manage to accomplish it. She's able to finish it. She actually is able to she nearly shreds off Orochimaru's fingers, and she does end up having to take a brief breather, and Orochimaru briefly contemplates whether or not he should actually take the opportunity to plant his curse mark on her. He doesn't get any opportunity whatsoever, as two QB enhanced clones poof into existence before him. They each launch him. They each launch a kick towards him, and he becomes the victim to the Uzumaki style Rasengan barrage. It ends up ending with him being he's kicked into the air, and each kick actually triggers an explosion from the QB enhanced shadow clones, from the QB enhanced explosive clones, which actually sends him flying into the air. And at the apex of his flight, he is met by a double Rasengan, a Rasengan barrage that slams him directly into the ground. And this actually decently caught him off guard. He was not expecting that. He was not expecting such speed from him. And he begins to notice as he once again pulls himself. He sheds his skin. He does that weird shedding technique where he sheds the body and kind of makes a new one as he heals himself. It does take up a lot of chakra, and the fact that he's had to use it twice in this encounter definitely says a lot about their potential.
Lock the door. Rihanna's here. They were like, she was like, when I got out the, she was like, oh, by the way, we're like.
My sister just had to rush out, so sorry about that. Jesus Christ. But yeah, as Orochimaru sheds the skin, he notices that the Hyuga is definitely in the position for him to plant his mark on her, and the Jinchuriki seems to be briefly winded and seems to be struggling with controlling his power. What he doesn't know is that he's actually struggling to gain more of his power, and he's briefly in his mindscape. He's gonna be in his mindscape for for him it's gonna last for a whole ass conversation, but in reality it's gonna be like it's not even gonna be a second. Of course, a second against Orochimaru, that can mean everything. But he then ponders, where the hell is the Uchiha? Where the hell is Sasuke? All he hears is a call of Chidori, as in the chirping of birds. He turns towards Sasuke, and he actually tries to, he's about to catch his hand, but before he can, he actually freezes. He sees himself staring into a very personalized pinwheel-shaped eye. Not the normal Sharingan, a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan, and this nearly gets him to salivate. He already has the Mangekyo. Although, this also gets him to panic. Crap, he already has the Mangekyo. Before he can contemplate this further, he is set ablaze by the black flames of Amaterasu. This only covers over his face, but it's definitely agonizing, and the flames end up forming into spikes that try to stab directly through his skin. It seems Sasuke is hoping that if he takes out his head, he'll be able to prevent him from using the technique. It'll definitely make it more painful and much more distracting, and he may have to use it twice, as the flames might try to cling onto his body as it escapes his mouth. But he'll be able to get himself scot-free, although he is once more blinded by more pain as he realizes he still had a Chidori in his hand, and it tears through the left side of his body. His body falls over, and Sasuke he kind of stumbles and crashes next to Hinata on the tree. The both of them are winded, they're out of chakra, they're exhausted, and Naruto, his struggles have ceased. Orochimaru does have to pull the technique twice, as Sasuke is still able to briefly keep his gaze on him, and encourages the flames to follow along his body as it crawls out. Of course, at this point, making use of a few fire-style techniques earlier in the battle, and his Amaterasu, and a Chidori, definitely drained his reserves. They're greater than in canon, but not enough to make this an easy, to make that long combination, not to make that insignificant towards his chakra pools. It was definitely very draining and very impacting. Orochimaru ends up standing up and seeing his two little prizes standing before him. He can only grin. He's about to launch himself towards the both of them so that he can plant his curse mark on them. But he is stopped by a red claw of chakra attempting to tear through his body. Luckily, his instincts kicked in. He had finally begun to recognize these children for the threats that they were, and he was able to get out of the way. All he sees is a crouched down figure. Naruto has allowed himself. He ended up having getting into an argument with Kurama. This was the first time they properly met. Kurama mentions that he's been using his chakra a lot lately. Um, and they finally get their initial meeting with one another. Kurama is definitely antagonistic towards Naruto, but Naruto clarifies that he doesn't care what he thinks of him. He doesn't care what he thinks of humans. Right now, this is the matter. These are the facts of the situation. He's locked up in Naruto. He's basically his tenant. He owes him some rent, and right now he's facing off against someone who might be able to kill them both. Kurama just chuckles. He says that he'll reform eventually, and while it may be a bit of a painful process, why shouldn't he just let these humans die? Especially that Uchiha brat and that little girlfriend princess of Naruto's. And Naruto clarifies that he'll do whatever the hell he can to make the Kyuubi's death with him a living hell. If he has to make a deal with the Shinigami itself, he'll drag him to the afterlife with him. He won't allow him to reform to hurt anyone else. This gets the Kyuubi pissed, not only because this is another blonde threatening him with the Shinigami after his father already tore him in half, but the fact that this human thinks that he can try to criticize him over hurting people when all humans had ever done was use him. This gets Naruto to briefly stop and consider that. Apparently the Kyuubi had been in Konoha's possession for a long time, and he had read about Shinchurikis with Hinata and Sasuke after he told them about it. Especially when they discovered that Gaara was in town. And they learned about the fact that the first Hokage was the one to initially capture the Nine-Tails before capturing all nine-tailed beasts and splitting them up between the various nations, specifically the Great Nations. And the fact that they were used as tools, it kind of gets him to remember Zabuza, how he was labeled as a demon. But at the end of the day, he was just a very flawed, but still human at the end of the day. He was just a man-made demon. And he looks at the Kyuubi, who's glaring down at him with hatred and malice. And he looks just that little bit deeper. He doesn't exactly get the opportunity to look too deep, as Kurama definitely doesn't want too much to do with him. He ends up sending him away. Fine, you'll get what you need, but don't try to demand any of him ever again, or he'll devour his soul and tear apart everything he cares for. And Naruto can probably hear it. It's not loud, or maybe it is, and it's just too deep, but he can hear a level of pain in the Nine-Tails' voice. And Naruto, all he can say is thank you, sincerely. He truly means it. And this gets the Kyuubi to pause for a brief second before going back into his napping position, telling him to shut up and to try not to die. Naruto wakes up and he is now in KCM 1, only in his version 1 cloak. Only one tail. He won't be able to handle more than this, and he can already feel it beginning to overwhelm him. He needs to finish this and he needs to finish it quick. He engages in battle against Orochimaru. And we all know Orochimaru is going to be able to handle himself. A weakened Orochimaru was able to take down version 2 Cloak Naruto with 4 tails. This isn't going to be too difficult. But it's not exactly the easiest thing that he's ever going to have to do. The corrosive chakra is definitely going to be very annoying for him to have to deal with. He can't exactly get in close to slap his 5-pronged elemental seal. Maybe if he had one of his sealing tags on him, but he hadn't actually expected to come up against a formidable, or seemingly formidable Jinchuriki. He didn't know that he could use this level of the Kyuubi's power. But nonetheless, he'll at least be able to make through this battle alive, and he'll definitely be able to outlast this little Jinchuriki. Now, with Naruto, he is not going to be holding back. He's making full use of his wind claws. He's sending them out. He's roaring and creating shockwaves to dispel whatever kind of jutsu that Orochimaru tries to place on him. Whether he's trying to hit him with some kind of elemental attack, Naruto just barrels his way through it. Trying to swarm him with his snakes isn't working. The Kusanagi is actually able to get through his chakra cloak though, and he begins to make use of it throughout the battle. He's not trying too hard, but he's trying more than he did before, and it's beginning to show. Naruto is beginning to lose control. He's becoming more animalistic, although it's clear that some level of him still remains as he begins to make use of the Rasengan, which has taken on a purple coloration. It's very dangerous, and Orochimaru definitely doesn't want himself to be hit by it. But by this point, he can already sense there are a number of approaching chakra signatures, and he decides that, as lamentable as it may be that he wasn't able to place his marking on the two dojutsu users, he'll encounter them soon enough. He may get he'll be getting another opportunity soon enough. For now, however, he ends up extending the Kusanagi straight through Naruto's chest. As Naruto actually stabs his claws into Orochimaru's chest. Um, Orochimaru ends up piercing through his lung, just barely missing his heart by a literal centimeter. He can actually feel the pumping. He can feel the pumping of Naruto's heart He can feel Naruto's furiously pumping heart beating directly next to the blade of the Kusanagi. They're actually resting against one another, and he can feel the vibrations thrumming through the blade into the handle. He thinks that this is about time where this little Jinchuriki should die. Perhaps if he allows the QB to run loose, it'll help him in his future plans. He does end up, once again coughing himself out, that weird ass technique, to escape from his now decaying body as it's poisoned by the Nine Tails' chakra. And speaking of the Nine Tails chakra, it begins to fade from Naruto as Orochimaru pulls his blade back and allows Naruto's body to slump towards the ground. The poison is trying to work its way through his system, although the lingering remnants of Kurama's chakra is fighting it off with all that it has. Um, Hinata and Sasuke end up appearing, with Sasuke firing out a Phoenix Flower Jutsu to try to get Orochimaru to back away from Naruto. And it works. He says that on any other occasion he'd take the opportunity to mark them, but he doesn't have the time to observe the process and ensure that it goes through properly. He has to make his escape. But don't worry, they'll definitely be seeing each other soon enough. He ends up disappearing with that same kind of weird jutsu that Sasuke, and Kabuto used in Shippuden, that weird flaming disappearing technique. And Sasuke and Hinata are kind of left panting, afraid, in front of what could be Naruto's corpse. The two of them turn him over, and Hinata inspects the wound only to find that it's closed itself up. She puts his head against his chest, and luckily he's still breathing, although it's very faint and very weak. She ends up using a kind of diagnostic jutsu to check up on him and see exactly what's wrong. And she can tell that there's poison in his system, although it seems that the foreign chakra, which she presumes is actually the Kyuubi's chakra, is battling the poison quite well. She ends up adding her own Mystic Palm Jutsu, but the Nine Tails' chakra actually bats away at her. It almost shoos her away, and goes back to work fighting against the poison. Hinata actually has to rub at her hand. There's a small little burn mark, although she's able to heal it pretty well. Sasuke himself is using his Sharingan, which has gone back into its natural state instead of its Mangekyo, and he's observing the Naruto's chakra pathways, or at least his chakra, and he can tell that he's still alive, but they need to get out of here. They need to get somewhere safe where they can properly recover. Hinata agrees, and they end up leaving the area. They retreat to that same kind of area that Sakura found in Canon, that same little clearing with the hollowed out tree, and they set up some traps. Sasuke ends up disabling his Sharingan, although Hinata is adamant that Sasuke take the first rest and she keep watch with her Byakugan. She also continues to apply the Mystic Palm technique. The Kyuubi's chakra has faded from Naruto's system, as has the poison, but he's still unconscious. And she may as well heal whatever damage was done by the Kyuubi's corrosive chakra. Even if it was healing, it was also dealing a decent amount of damage to Naruto as it was healing him. it's not exactly the best method of healing, and she's a little upset that it actually batted her away before. She just wanted to help, but whatever. She at least is able to help now. Sakura or Sasuke is kind of refusing this. He doesn't want to leave her on her own, but she says that if anything happens, he'll wake up. He'll wake up when it does. She'll wake him up if anything happens. He gets her to shift her focus onto him and gets locks her eyes, and he he tells her to look him in the eyes and promise that she won't do anything reckless that'll put her life in danger, to not get herself killed for their sake. She looks over at him and says that she can't promise something like that, but she will wake him up if someone comes by. He agrees, even if it is a little reluctant, and he gets some rest. He's definitely going to be having some nightmares of his own. That encounter with Orochimaru facing off against him, he wonders if Itachi is at such a level. He was able to see him mutter something in regards to Mangekyo, and he knows that to his knowledge at least, only one other Uchiha with these kind of eyes is out there in the world. If Orochimaru has any knowledge or experience with them, there's only one person he could have gotten that knowledge or experience from. He must have faced off against Itachi, or at least known about him. And he wonders, how strong is Itachi? He laments that maybe he's not strong enough, but he's getting there, in his own way. He closes his eyes and he drifts off to sleep. Hinata herself is kind of lamenting the fact that she once again had to kind of stick to the sidelines. She hopes that one day she'll be able to get strong enough so that she's not too much of a liability. But she also knows and recognizes the fact that she's helping in all the ways that she can. She's juggling a lot in terms of trying to improve herself. Maybe it's time she take a brief step back to focus on one area. Either way, and beyond that, this was an overwhelming threat. Whoever that person was, whatever it is that they wanted, whatever it is that they're truly capable of, as it's clear they weren't really trying. It's way beyond anything they could have been expected to take on. And yet, Sasuke and Naruto once again put themselves in front of danger to try to take that guy down. They use their powers that put so much risk on them once more. She laments maybe she's not exactly cut out for this. But, either way, no matter what, she'll be giving it her all. She can't leave them. She knows they wouldn't leave her. No matter what. Even if her fears try to tell her otherwise. Those sound ninja, what was it? Kinsuchi? Let me see. Kinsuchi. I don't know why I'm forgetting the other guys, even though their looks were obviously the best. They looked cooler. Suchi team. God damn it. I'm gonna just search up team. Dosu. Okay, Dosu. Yeah. Okay, Kin, Dosu, and Zaku. Right. So they show up, and Hinata definitely wakes up Sasuke, and the two of them are able to hold off all of Team Dosu. And when Naruto wakes up, which is pretty quickly when he hears the commotion going about, he's properly healed by now, even if he is going to be a little low on stamina. Which is something considering how great his chakra control and his reserves are here. Not that his reserves are trash in canon, but since he's more efficient, he can last a lot longer. Fighting against Orochimaru, though, trying to keep control of the Kyuubi's chakra, no easy feat. But they end up facing off against Team Dosu. They're able to take care of him with absolute ease, and luckily, Hinata and Sasuke have actually managed to keep hold of the true scroll, the Heaven and Earth scrolls. They haven't actually lost them, and we can easily say that Orochimaru was only able to get his hands on the extra one that they ended up grabbing. But yeah, they're able to take down Team Dosu, and it's not going to be too hard. Not with how powerful they are here. Maybe the sound waves from Zaku and Dosu are going to be a little difficult, but Kin's, like her little genjutsu, like are you serious? Sasuke and Hinata are able to dispel it with absolute ease, and Naruto himself isn't going to be too susceptible to it due to learning how to dispel Genjutsu with Sasuke and Hinata. So yeah, they're able to clear through Team Dosu. Maybe not the easiest since they're obviously out of shape, they're exhausted, but they're able to hold their own, and they're able to get them to back off. No need to make use of any curse mark powers here since Orochimaru didn't exactly get the opportunity. He was actually confronted by Anko, similarly to in canon, although Kakashi definitely could have been backing her up. Maybe, maybe not. But either way, Team Seven does eventually make their way towards the building in the center of. They get to their objective, and they rest for the next couple of days. They meet up not only with Aruka. They meet with Aruka initially, since he's the one who ends up getting summoned. And when they get inside to rest, they meet up with Kakashi, who congratulates them, and he also tells them he'll fill them in on some things like on who exactly it was that tried to make a mess of things for them in the exam. But for now, he wants them to relax. They have things handled, for now at least, and to not worry. Everything's gonna be all right. They decide to trust their sensei, even if they are still a little suspicious, especially since apparently Gaara's team was able to get here very quickly, uh, with practically, no issues whatsoever. And then we're gonna get into the preliminaries. Same teams as in canon, not gonna be too much of a difference there. Maybe Team Dosu is definitely gonna be harboring a bit of a grudge against Team Seven, but it's not gonna be too much. It's not gonna be enough, anyways, to facilitate any differences. Kabuto does still end up dropping out. The little snaky snake that he is, the little sneaky snake that he is. He ends up dropping out, and Team 7 is definitely still suspicious of them, but whatever. They decide it's whatever. They've had a few days to recuperate, and they're properly in shape once more. And to kind of like sometimes I've seen some people they try to mix up the matches. I'm not really gonna be doing that here. Gonna be the same members as in canon, same teams or same matchups. So we get Hinata versus Neji. This is gonna be the really interesting one. Hinata versus Neji, or I guess first we should go on ahead and take up. Was it Sasuke versus Dozai, the guy who can like absorb chakra by touching you? And yeah, it's pretty easy. It's a pretty easy battle with having access to his chakra, not being hindered by the curse mark, um, and being able to use his chakra blades. Yeah, he's gonna be able to tear through the guy, and he gets him to forfeit. He ends up losing. Sasuke's gonna be just fine going forward. Um, Facing off against yeah Neji versus Hinata. This is where things begin to get interesting. So they're proper equals in terms of actually making use of the gentle fist technique. The two of them are initially equals. It seems about that they're about the same, the same level of experience, same level of power, same level of skill. At least until they begin to get more serious. Neji attempts to try to use the 64 palms technique, only for Hinata to counter with the defensive 64 palms technique. Once again, it's not something she's comfortable considering mastered, but it's enough to throw off Neji, and she begins to make use of her paralyzing 32 palms technique to get him to lock up and try to get him to forfeit without being too lethal about it. Um, she uses the paralyzing 32 palms, and Neji tries to get up, but so it's always said that the gentle fist is meant to it's able to shut down any normal opponent, but we always end up seeing it not do that because I think like the only times the gentle palm ever took someone down was like in one of the movies or something when Neji used like the 128 palms, and it took the guy down for sure. But any other time it was either like against another. Hyuga member, so they were able to hold their own, like in Neji versus Hinata in canon, or it was used against a Chinchuriki like Naruto, and he was able to use his tailed beast to reawaken his chakra paths, to reopen his tenketsu. But here, she's actually able to shut Neji down, especially when he decides to try to push her. He tries to push his luck, and she locks him down using the paralyzing 64 palms, which actually completely shuts him down. Quite literally, he ends up like his body completely locks up on him since she striked his pressure points and tenketsu. Using paralytic poisons and paralyzing touches from lightning chakra. So yeah, Neji ends up getting shut down, and he's definitely pissed. But that won't be lasting long. We can easily say that after these preliminaries, when it's time for them, to prepare for the next month, Hisashi decides he's finally going to talk things through with Neji. He explains what really happened with in regards to his brothers, in regards to Neji's father's death, and Hisashi's brother's death. Um, he ends up explaining the whole situation so that he can get Neji to mellow out. And when he finally begins to realize that Hinata really is trying to change the ways of the Hyuga, like that's legitimately her dead set goal. It's what she wants to do. But she's been a little disheartened by the fact that the one connection, the one true connection she's had to the branch side of the family, to the the side branch in Neji, has constantly been turning her down and has only met her with negative feelings. I say negative feelings. He was just a dick. He was an ass. The fact that he's been nothing but an ass towards her definitely hasn't been helping. But Naruto versus Kiba is an absolute wash. Maybe Kiba has been, he's been working up his techniques. Maybe he actually manages to pull out that two-headed dog technique against Naruto, and Naruto, seeing this, only meets it with a double Rasengan into both the giant dog's heads to take it down. It tries to meet him with that big old fang over fang from that two-headed dog, and he just rushes forward. He has shadow clones to help him with this one. The big ball Rasengan barrage. He has two big ball Rasengans, one in each hand, and he meets it head on, and he's actually able to take him down. Definitely hurt his hands a little, but yeah, he was able to take him down with absolute laughable ease. And Ino versus Sakura is the one I actually want to talk about. So I mentioned before that they were actually doing some proper training to try to keep up with Hinata. And even though they didn't get on Sasuke's team and they weren't Kunoichi of the Year, if anything, it only really spurred them forward. Sakura continued her training in chakra control and genjutsu under Kurenai, whereas Ino has been diversifying her usage of her clan techniques and genjutsu to supplement them. So the two of them actually kind of engage against one another in a genjutsu battle. It's a little, obviously it's not too showy for everyone else, but for them it's a bit of an intense battle of the minds against one another, illusions and mind tricks against one another, and they do end up in a double knockout. They both exhaust each other. They end up exhausting each other mentally and chakra wise in using their genjutsus and specifically Ino's mind techniques against one another. It's not easy, but they also do throw in some solid taijutsu. Instead of it being like a slap fest, it's like they're actually like properly slugging it out, dueling against one another, kind of like obviously not the same intensity, but you can imagine it something similar to when Naruto and Sasuke were fighting at the end of their final battle at the Valley of the End, where they're like just beating the crap out of one another. They don't here Sakura and Ino are kind of like of a similar kind of state where they're actually beating the crap out of one another with vicious but like still basic level taijutsu. They're not moving around at like the speed of sound using gates or after having intense weighted training. Yeah, no, they're just battling it out as two kunoichi who are decent at taijutsu. It does sadly end up in the same kind of double knockout, but it's not as pathetic. Everyone's able to tell that they're actually making use of genjutsu against one another, and that yeah, they're actually gonna be it's not as pathetic as it was in canon. Okay, it's not like the pathetic little slugfest we got in canon. And we can even say Inner Sakura. I always thought was like a bit of a cool concept. You know, where she has like that big old Sakura in her head with like the weird symbol on her forehead that's constantly making comments. She's constantly all pissed off and stuff. So she might actually make use of her inner self through her genjutsu. A little bit of a reference. Kurenai, I don't really like her mainly because of that filler where she locked away her previous students. She like literally locked her in her own head with her own inner demon. Like she literally sealed away her powers and basically turned her into a pseudo Jinchuriki, but with her own literal personal demon. It was like the manifestation of her bloodline, of her Kekagenkai, and it was super messed up. But some kind of inspiration from that. Here she actually, she redeems anime filler Kurenai. My What If Kurenai redeems anime filler Kurenai by teaching Sakura how to utilize her inner self in her genjutsu. But sadly, Gara versus Lee does end the same. But here, all of Team Seven is going to be moving on to the finals, and the big match is Hinata versus Naruto. That's going to be the big match. The I'm pretty sure it was like one of the opening matches, wasn't it? Hold on. Tuning exam. Tuning exam fights. Images. Hold on. Tuning exam. Final. Finals matchups. Why do I always get these ones that are like from other people and their stories and stuff? It's so stupid. It pisses me off so much. Okay, yeah, the opening match was Neji versus Naruto. So the opening match here is gonna be Neji versus or Naruto versus Hinata. Sasuke is he might not be late, so that battle against Gaara might end up coming up sooner. Um, but yeah, okay. So we end off with the only really major difference is that's gonna be really mattering going forward is the fact that Hinata beats Neji. So it's gonna be Hinata versus Naruto in the first matchup for the finals of the Chunin exams. This definitely causes some kind of awkward feelings between the two of them, but Hinata ends up stealing herself. She walks over to Naruto, gets him to look her in the eyes, and tells him to not hold back no matter what. She'd only view it as disrespect if he tried to hold back against her. Now, she doesn't tell him to go for the kill, but she wants it to be a proper, respectable match between them. And she even turns towards Sasuke. She says, if he or hell, she might even be a little bold and say, and when he wins against Gaara, she expects him to meet whichever of them, whether it be Naruto or Hinata, to meet them with the same seriousness, to not hold back no matter what. This gets the two boys to pause before they each share a look and a grin and a chuckle, which eventually blows into the both of them full-on belly laughing, which actually gets Hinata to be embarrassed. She was trying to have a serious moment there, and she meant what she said. And they clarify, they understand, and they will, no matter what. They won't disrespect any of. They won't be allowing any disrespect amongst them. They won't be disrespecting her, and they definitely won't be disrespecting each other when they both win their matches. And this gets Hinata to be a little irked. She's like, excuse me, it sounds like you're implying that you don't think I can beat either of you. And this actually gets into a three-way bickering match between them. Instead of Hinata acting as mediator, it's actually a proper three-way bickering match between the three of them. And this gets some of their classmates to kind of look at them weirdly. They never expected them to get along. They never expected Hinata, specifically they never expected Naruto and Sasuke to get along like this. Or are they getting along? they also never expected Hinata to be so loud and upfront about her feelings and opinions. Never towards the point that she would begin a bickering match with the two. But Kakashi only eye smiles. He's really proud of his team, and he's gonna be setting up some training for them. He asked Hinata if she still wants to follow up on that offer that he made before. She's a little confused before she asked if that friend of that if she's gonna if he's gonna introduce her to that friend that she mentioned before. And she says, "Yeah, and he says, "Yeah, you've actually already met her, Mitarashi Anko." And this kind of gets all of them to pale. Although Hinata, or this gets kind of Sasuke and Naruto to pale. Naruto and Sasuke mainly because she kind of reminds them of Orochimaru, or they don't know that it was Orochimaru, but of that guy that they fought in the forest. And Hinata actually gets a bit of a look of a grim determination. She's like, I accept, but I'm gonna have to split that up with my training with my father. And he's like, don't worry, I understand. And so yeah, Hinata's training is going to be split between improving her usage of her 64 palm techniques and the variants, as well as her usage of the rotation technique, which she got some tips and pointers from Naruto and Kakashi when Kakashi was teaching Naruto about the Rasengan. Maybe she observed the usage of the Rasengan, and she may have copied it similarly to. I always thought it was weird that the Sharingan would allow you to copy ninjutsu, and that the Byakugan couldn't. But I think that's because of the Sharingan's ability to copy any movement that they see. But either way, she definitely ended up since it was a sealless jutsu. She definitely picked apart the Rasengan, and she's going to be using it to assist her training in the rotation. And when Neji finally recovers and comes around to not being an asshole and apologizes to her, he's definitely going to be helping her out. Naruto is Kakashi tells him to actually he's gonna have to Naruto's gonna have to wait a little bit, but he does give him an idea on where to start. He says that the Rasengan is technically an incomplete technique. He'll be leaving him with the Shadow Clones for a bit because he has someone that he wants him to meet. It'll happen eventually. He just needs but he's gonna have to wait a bit. But for now, he's gonna help him begin his training to properly master the true Rasengan by adding and change an element to it. As for Sasuke, he did promise that he would teach him the Raikiri. So that's what he's going to be focusing on with Sasuke. And Hinata herself actually has some ideas on what she wants to use her learning of the Chidori for. But yeah, I think we'll leave it off here. They're about to go into their 1 month of training. Naruto is going to be looking forward to adding his wind element to his Rasengan, as well as training with this mysterious figure that Kakashi made mention of, his mysterious trainer. Um, Hinata is going to be training with Anko in how to make better use of her poisons and integrating them with her techniques, as well as practicing her more deadly techniques against someone who is not going to be holding back against her whatsoever. Improving her usage of her clan techniques with Neji and her father, and possibly some experimenting with the fundamentals of the Chidori. As for Sasuke, he's going to be learning the Raikiri, and possibly diversifying his moveset a little bit under Kakashi. He's going to be properly perfecting his usage of the Chidori, and developing his usage of the Raikiri, expanding his chakra pools, and just getting that little bit better with his Sharingan and his Taijutsu. He definitely copied those movements of Lee, and he's going to be wanting to make use of them in the future. And I think I'll dive into the training real quickly. Yeah, I can dive into the no, I'll leave it here for now. So this is where we're leaving it off. They're going to be going into their month worth of training. Gara is still going to unfortunately kill Dosu. Unfortunately or fortunately, however you view it. And no curse marks. Not here. Team 7 is going to be one happy family. At least here. But yeah. We'll continue with the Chunin exam. We'll start with their month of training and get into the finals of the Chunin exams and the Konoha Crush. And yeah, that'll be the next part. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell notification to keep up to date with future updates. And I will see all of you in the next video. Bye bye.